All right, in this video, we are going to find the growth factor. So that's B, right? And we're going to find the growth factor when we're basically just given 1 point. Okay, so here's what we have. Find a value for B that's greater than 0. So it has to be a positive number. By the way, it has to be a positive number. The growth factor always has to be a positive number. It can be between 0 and 1. Or it can be greater than, it can be, or B can be greater than 1, okay? So it can be between 0 and 1, or it can be greater than 1, but it cannot be negative, okay? So we're finding a value for B, the growth factor, so that the graph of f of x equals b to the x power contains the point 3 and 100, or 1 over 125, okay? So we can see that the 3 here is the x value, and that the 1 over 125 is the f of x value. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to take the 1 over 125 and we're going to replace f of x with that, and we're going to replace the x with 3. Okay. So we're going to have 1 over 125 is equal to b to the power of 3. And what we're trying to do here is we're trying to solve for b, because that's what it says. It says find a value of b greater than 0. So to solve for b, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put parentheses around this, and there's something that we can do to be able to cancel a 3. What we do is we raise the whole thing to the 1/3 power. And when we do this, this becomes just b. Okay? So let me cancel this. Let me show you kind of on the side. Let's say that I had 4 to the 1/2 power, and I can tell you that 4 to the 1/2 power is equal to 2, okay? And I'll prove it to you, because if I raise this to the 2nd power, I also have to raise this to the 2nd power. Well, what is 2 to the 2nd power? Well, 2 to the 2nd power is equal to 4. So this must equal 4 also, right? So that means that these two things must cancel each other so that we can just bring the 4 down, okay? Now, why do these two things cancel each other? Well, because 1/2 times 2, what we do with these two is we multiply them. And 1/2 times 2 is equal to 1. And we know that 4 to the 1st power is equal to just 4, okay? And so essentially what we're saying here is that we can cancel an exponent by multiplying by its reciprocal, okay? All right, so let me go ahead and erase this stuff right here. Oops, I don't want that ruler. All right. And now what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and cancel. We want to cancel this 3 right here. So we're going to raise the whole thing to the 1/3 power. Oops, 1/3 power. 1/3 of 3 is 1. So this is going to become b. But if I do it to the right side, I also have to do it to the left side. So the left side is going to have to be 125 to the 1/3 power. So now what we have is we have b over here. So we have a solution for b. b is equal to 1 over 125 to the power of 1/3. Now this isn't a number. We need to reduce this, okay? So here's what we're going to do. When we have a fraction, we can distribute the exponent to both the numerator and the denominator. For example, if I have 3 over 4, and I raise 3 over 4 to the 2nd power, this is the same thing as 3 squared over 4 squared. And so this would become 9 over 16, okay? So we take an exponent and we distribute it onto each element, onto the numerator, and we distribute it onto the denominator, okay? So that's what we're going to do right now, and we're going to see a couple of other interesting properties of exponents here. So if I distribute this 1/3 to the 1 and then to the 125, here's what I get. I get 1 to the 1/3 power over 125 to the 1/3 power, and that's equal to b, okay? Well, what is 1 to the 1/3 power? Well, 1 to any power equals 1. 1 to any power x is equal to 1, no matter what. So this automatically just equals 1. So I'm actually just going to get rid of the exponent because it's still going to be equal to 1. But what about this 125 to the 1/3 power? What does that 1/3 power mean? Well, to give you an idea, I can tell you that 49 to the 1/2 power is equal to 7. Okay, and we just saw this a couple minutes ago. If I were to cancel this with a 2, I would raise this to 2, and we know that 7 squared is equal to 49. Okay, so then what does that mean? What does this 1/2 mean? This 1/2 basically means the square root. This is the same thing as the square root of 49. 1/2 power, the power of 1/2 means square root. And the square root of 49 is 7. Okay? And so what we're looking at here is, you might be saying, well, then what does 1/3 power mean? Well, that means cubed root. So the cube root of 125, what that's asking is, what number to the 3rd power is equal to 125? Well, we know that that's 5. Okay? The cube root of 125 is 5 because 5 to the 3rd power is equal to 125. Well, then that must mean that this 125 to the 3rd power is equal to 5. And that means that b, in this case, is equal to 1/5. And that is our answer. Let's do another example. All right, so now once again, we want to find a value b greater than 0 for the graph of f of x is equal to b to the x power, and it contains the point 5 and 1/32. So the x value is 5, and the f of x value is 1/32. So we're going to put 1/32 for f of x, and we're going to put 5 in for x. So we're going to have 1/32 is equal to b to the 5th power. Okay. So we're going to raise this b to the 5th power to the 5th power to the 1/5 power. These are going to cancel, and we're going to raise this 1/32 to the 1/5 power. So this is just going to become b. So b is equal to 1/32 to the 1/5 power. Okay. Now we can distribute the 1/5 to the 1 and to the 32. So what we'll have is b is equal to 1 to the 1/5 power over 32 to the 1/5 power. Okay. Well, 1 to the 1/5 power is just 1. Okay. So this is equal to numerator 1 over, well, what's 32 to the 1/5 power? Let's look at this. 32 to the 1/5 power, okay, is equal to something. Let's just call it, k, something. We're going to raise this to the 5th power to cancel the 1/5, and we'll raise this to the 5th power. This is going to cancel, and we're going to have 32 is equal to something, k, to the 5th power. Well, what to the 5th power equals 32? Well, we said in the introduction, I gave you a fact of exponents that said that there is a number that when raised to the 5th power is 32, and that number is 2. It's 2 to the 5th power, okay? So 2 times 2 is 4, okay? That's 4 times 2, this is now 8, times 2 is 16, and times another 2 is 32. So 2 to the 5th power is 32, and that means that 32 to the 1/5 must be equal to k, or to 2, which is k. So we're going to put a 2 here. So 32 to the 1/5 power is 2, and therefore b is equal to 1/2. Let's do one more example. All right, so now we want to find a b greater than 0 so that the graph of f of x is equal to b to the x. We want to know what the growth factor is. It contains the point 3 and 343. So the x is going to be 3. We're going to put that in right here. And the f of x is 343. We're going to put that in right here. So 343 is equal to b to the 3rd power. All right, so here to cancel the 3rd power, we're going to raise this to the 1/3 power, which means we're going to raise the other side to the 1/3 power. And so we know that 343 to the 1/3 power is equal to b. Okay, well, what is 343 to the 1/3 power? Well, let's set this up like we did in the last one. We're going to take 343 to the 1/3 power, and we're going to make it equal to k, some number, okay? Well, we know that we can raise this to the 3rd power, and it'll cancel this, so we raise this to the 3rd power, okay? So that must mean that 343 is equal to some number k to the 3rd power. Well, what number raised to the 3rd power equals 343? Well, we saw in the introduction to exponentials that 7 to the 3rd power is equal to 343, so k must be equal to 7, and therefore b must be equal to 7. And that is the answer to this one.